Welcome to the Adventure Pro podcast. Today on the Adventure Pro podcast, we have Ross Worthington. Ross lives and works in Snowdonia in North Wales and runs a business with his wife, Kate, called Raw Adventures. Welcome to the podcast, Ross.
Thanks for having me along, Tom.
Great. Could you please give us an idea of how it came to be that you are now working and living in the outdoors and living your best life in the great outdoors?
Well, attempting to live the best life, as they say. Yeah. I'll give you like the truncated version, to be fair. But like not unlike yourself, I've kind of always had an interest in the outdoors in general and getting out and about, and that kind of kicked off when I was in the Air Cadets as a cadet and then as a volunteer instructor. And I winded up I worked as a police officer before moving up to North Wales, and long story short was I was supposed to transfer forces. The transfers all got cancelled. We'd already sold a house, so we just kind of jumped off the top board and to see where we landed fundamentally. So we were both working as freelance mountain leaders at the time, and we just went, oh right, well we're in it now, so let's just crack on. So it's that much planning and forethought went into it, Tom.
Yeah, well, often that is the case. Brilliant. So you were freelancing for what, a handful of different companies or quite a few different companies at that stage?
Just a few. So I in fact met Kate on my mountain leader trainings, which I did at Brennan, and I'd been, as I say, historically had taught and led and instructed people as a volunteer through the Air Cadets since I was 18, and in the police force I'd ended up sort of diverting away from doing stuff in the outdoors for a little while just because of work commitments, and then I ended up having this sort of epiphany moment on a trip. I got invited by my dad's best friend to go to assist leading a trip out in Borneo. And whilst I was out there, I had this bit of a, wow, yeah, I've missed doing this for the last few years. I need to do some more of this. I made a bit of a mindset change and started to work towards things. And I came back, and it was shortly after that trip, which I think was in 2005. I've got it on my desk somewhere, actually, the picture that they made for us all. About 2005, and I came back and then met Kate and at Brennan, and then it all went from there.
Oh, fabulous! So what did that look like? Because I'm always intrigued, because I know that in my journey, I was on a climbing trip. We were driving up to Scotland, and I was with my then business partner. He said, "Oh, thinking about starting a business. It's going to be called this." And you go through all of the, oh, what's it going to be called? And you spend all that time thinking about what's it going to be called and, what's it going to look like. But the actual nuts and bolts of everything, I'm always interested in, because you can be the best mountain leader in the world, but if you haven't got clients, then, it doesn't really matter. So what did that sort of first step look like when you decided to, right, we're going to start Raw Adventures?
So the initial thought was always going to be that run Raw Adventures as our own little thing, and a bit of freelancing work, topping up other work, filling in between doing sort of other normal jobs in inverted commas, with a view to, because I joined the police when I was just about 21, I would have retired by the time I was 51. That's another part of the reason why we left, because they moved all the retirement ages. So then I thought, well, I'd still be able to do stuff. And if we've established a bit of a business and we can do things, I'd have one of those golden nugget pension things from the police service, and I could pick and choose what I wanted to do. So that was the initial plan. And then obviously that morphed when we were caught off guard slightly, and we just piled in. And I suppose what we'd set out to do originally was like, we just wanted to deliver like good mountain leading days, act professionally, work for other people, support their businesses and do what they want to do. So we've ended up initially doing other contracts, working for other businesses where we would kind of purport to be them and then delivering different things. That might be training, it might be some back office work, It might be some logistical planning, operational planning. And then in the between times, we were building up our own sort of portfolio of clients just through networks, the contacts really. And it was very, very organic. It was literally like a business plan was not dissimilar to me just scribbling on this bit of paper and writing down, right, what do we want to get to? Where do we want to go? We'd like to do this. We'd like to do that. And then ironically, probably about 4 years ago now. So we've been running for about 11 years, just over 11 years. About 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I was like, well, we feel a little bit like rudderless. What's going on with the business?
Yeah.
And then I said, well, so I'm going to go back and view our little kind of rough and ready business plan, and looked at it, and we'd ticked everything we wanted to do. So I was a bit like, well, that makes sense. If we've reached all of those goals, now that's why we don't know what we're doing at the moment. So there's then the process of deciding, well, what happens next. So it's been a very organic process, and continues to be so. Although I'm trying to be a little bit more business aware now. I've not coming from a business background.
Sure, yeah. I guess making the leap from what would have been a quite stable job in the police to, we're out here on our own. What do we do next? Would have been really quite interesting.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fun. Great. I just love hearing about people, because when people talk about having a business plan on the back of they used to say a fag packet if you're a smoker, but I often think that those are the best. They are the best, because ultimately you've just got to get started, and you've just got to do something, and then everything else, as you said, just comes a little bit more organically.
We kind of took inspiration from ourselves when Kate and I used to live down in Kent in the southeast, and part of the doorway to getting into the outdoors is I'd met Kate. She was working for a company up in the Lake District at the time for Adventure Peaks. Yep. So she was working for there. She just got a job up with them, more of like a back office job, but she was getting out and about on a few things as well. And then when she moved down to Kent, I was still am friends with Rich McLaughlin from Adventure Cafe. So when he actually physically had his own building on Rochester High Street, and I knew him from there, from the police, because my original police station was in Rochester. And wow. Kate started to work with Rich, and sort of they grew their sort of challenge offer, and that was sat with Kate doing that, lots of 3 Peaks work and guided routes and things. And I think the week before we got married in the Lake District. The week before we got married, she was off leading a team across Knoydart.
Oh, lovely.
So she literally came straight from Knoydart to the lakes for us to get married and hose herself down. And
hose herself down.
and then wowed us all with wedding day amazingness. So so that and we kind of, and you get inspiration from people. Well, I don't know if you have the same thing, but I kind of get a lot of inspiration from people that I see or work alongside and think, oh, I really like that. So you end up, like anybody really, you end up like a big soup, isn't it? You throw the bits that you like from everyone else, put it in the mix, put your own little bit of spice into it, and go, that's kind of what we are. And then our inspiration came. We had a bit of a tagline that we picked up when we were in the southeast was quit talking, start doing. Otherwise, what are you going to do? You're like, well, I'm going to do this and I want to do that. I want to do that. It's like, well, let's just get on and do it then.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you start an outdoor business? Well, you start an outdoor business.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you start running in the mountains? Well, you just go running in the mountains.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you've got to start somewhere, and don't be afraid to fail and make mistakes, but try and learn from those wherever you can, and try to avoid them in the future, I guess.
That's a brilliant philosophy. Love it. Yeah. Right. A couple of questions then.
Yeah, go for it.
What does a day in the life look like?
Well, at the moment, it's very much. I feel what my dad would have referred to as a Ryman driver, as in very desk bound currently. So there's a lot at the moment. A day in the life is it can be a mixture, but today, as an example, actually, speaking to yourself. So I might have some phone meetings. I've got to finish off sending a proposal out to a client about a charity event and send that over to them this morning. I'm then scooting off to go and meet someone else about another event out on the ground, where we do a little bit of a site recce and refine what we're doing. And then I'm driving all the way down to South Wales, to the Brecon Beacons, to deliver some like trainer type weekend for some DAV instructors at a schools academy. And that's my Friday.
That's your Friday. That sounds pretty good. And I'm guessing weekends just don't mean anything.
Days of the week are irrelevant, fundamentally. I learned that relatively quickly. And I remember a friend of mine saying to me, I'm like, well, what do you do during the week? Because you obviously just work weekends. I was like, well, I get things ready for the weekends during the week. And then he says, oh, so what do you do as your time off? He's like, that's a really good point. What do we do with time off? And that's the bit that I've learned, that time off is sort of few and far between, I suppose, technically, but you value it more and you try and just do your own thing, whatever that may be. And it varies for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a topsy-turvy world, isn't it? Yeah, days of the week are irrelevant. Weekends don't really mean anything other than actually probably you're going to be working in some format, or we're working in some format.
Yeah.
So it's a good one.
So is the business very much seasonal then, or would you say it's sort of all year round?
I think we are all year round, but there are absolutely seasonal peaks, without a shadow of a doubt. So obviously this year would be the exception. Well, this year has also been our busiest year yet, but we probably start off in about April time in earnest. And it used to be kind of from the end of April through to about October, maybe the beginning of October, which is why we worked with Rich up in Scotland for the Real Three Peaks Challenge, like the kind of environmental clearing peaks up. And that was always done in October, after the October half term, because it would generally quieten down. But now it pushes through, and we're in kind of into November. We've just finished off doing a day just the other day. So it's definitely, the season seems to have stretched either side a bit more.
Yeah.
And there is winter stuff to do, not so much here in North Wales, as you know, mate, but we can get up to Scotland to do a few bits we end up doing there. Maybe some overseas things occasionally as well. In previous, well, the plan would have been to be doing more of those, but that's kind of on hold for now.
Yeah,
as many folks. So I suppose in answer to your question, it's yes and no.
Yeah. But I guess that it's sort of, well, I know for myself, actually, I'm not sure I really want to be outside today. It's blustery, it's minging.
I could hear it howling past the window when I was in bed this morning. I was like, I don't even want to go out to get in the van. I don't want to be out on the hill. That would be awful.
Exactly. Yeah.
But those could be some of the best days sometimes, can't they? Like type 2 fun and all that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Another question then.
Yeah, go for it.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received about the business that you run, or your life in the outdoors? Or we were talking earlier on about how you're constantly learning and you're constantly picking up things from people from all different types of backgrounds. I'm just interested is there one thing that you've ever been told you thought, oh yeah, I'm going to do that?
I think probably not one thing, but probably two key things, I reckon. Yeah. And they haven't necessarily come from working in the outdoors per se. I think for me, professionalism, even with a small p, is something that's really important. So if you approach something with a professional attitude, and you can still be a volunteer and be a professional, and that might be that you're kind of the way you speak with people, the way you represent yourself and maybe the people that you're working for, how you look after the clients, how you then feed back to your sort of the person that you're working for, etc., etc. That goes a really long way, and that helps us as a sector just a general uplift, because I think I'd imagine I think you do agree with me on this. So as a sector, we're pretty undervalued, I think, by the general population, and it's deemed as a I think you hinted at it before. It's deemed as a kind of, it's not like a proper job. you're doing something that you enjoy doing, and therefore it's not a proper job. And you guys, you just all live in tents or live out your van, so you haven't got like anything to worry about. So I can, why do I need to pay you more money for this, or why would you do that? But if you're acting, if we as a sector act professionally, delivering the best to people, then we're going to be held in high regard, and people are like, oh no, I can see that. That's kind of how it goes. And then the other bit was being you only need to be 1% different. You have to do 1% extra effort from other people, and you can just shine. So making that 1% difference, adding that 1% of extra value into somebody's day, and then you just stand out. If you turn up lackadaisical, covered in mud, looking like bedraggled, even though you may feel
you slept in a van.
Yeah. If you look like you've just got out of a van, and you're stinking, and you've got you kind of like holes in your trousers or whatever it is, and you're turning up for a climbing day with someone, that's not going to instill them with confidence. You might be the most awesome, amazing climber ever, or the best mountaineer, or the best mountain bike leader or paddler, but if you turn up, people's first impressions do count. Regardless about, you don't judge a book by a cover, but everybody judges a book by a cover. Otherwise, all the books would have no covers on.
There are 3 points there. I like it. Yeah.
Yes, sorry, there were 3.
Yes, that's great. I'm often struck with I've been asked, well, I've been told for many years now, when you're going to get a real job and all these things, and I think it's very easy to slip into that. Oh well, that undervalue that you're talking about there. It's very easy to feel that way, and in terms of your self-worth and what am I doing in terms of the value that I'm bringing to other people. Well, actually, I don't think I'm exaggerated too much by saying we have changed some people's lives over our career.
Agree.
And I think that's an amazing thing, and I don't think there's any problem with charging money for changing someone's life, in a positive way.
Definitely.
Brilliant. And what is the wackiest job you've ever done?
I was pondered this one. The wackiest job. Well, it's like, Tom, some of them, all of them, you have a conversation with clients, and some are all a bit weird, aren't they? In some format or another. Oh, right. So we've got asked the other day, can we support a group of guys that want to walk up Snowdon in their Speedos? That's a bit strange, isn't it?
Why not? Yeah.
But that might not be too strange. I suppose the wackiest or most unusual job I've done in terms of delivery was I was an adjudicator for a world record attempt for the most people doing a routine of Taekwondo, I think it was. And that was for Rich, actually, from Adventure Cafe. He said, Ross, got a strange request. Can you go to this location? There's this many people there. I need you to do this, this, and this for the day. Can you do that? I was like, yeah, that's a bit strange, but fine.
Wow.
That was unusual.
How much do you know about Taekwondo? Is it
nothing at all?
Nothing.
No. I just had to be there to say these number of people did it, film it, make sure they were done during a set time period, and take down all the names, and that so that was slightly odd. But then what other ones have we kind of periphery been involved in? Well, some of the things, like, it was a bit odd being brought in and working on the whole Greg James pedal to the peaks thing. That was quite fun. The time on the hill was fine, but it's the circus that kind of goes along with it that makes it a little bit wacky.
So what does that look like?
So that was when Greg James did for Sport Relief, did the 3 peaks, when they cycled between each one.
Oh, I remember.
And it was during the Beast from the East.
Yeah.
And I got asked to come and help out initially on the Snowdon, but ended up working on all of it, and working alongside a colleague, Abby Naylor, and and that was just a bit nuts. So obviously there's requirements of what the TV want, there's requirements of what the radio want.
Yeah.
Greg was pretty cool. He was like, I just want to get in the mountains. Obviously, like, full on winter for a guy who's never worn crampons before. So it was a bit, it was just a little bit unusual and crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy few weeks, and then it kind of got postponed, and then it was back on again, and we were driving across the country when there was no one else around because everyone was hiding in the houses.
Yeah. The beast was causing havoc. Yeah. Brilliant. Cool. So we'll wrap up very soon. I want to be respectful of your time. So I'm asking 3 final questions at the end, just for a bit of continuity. So the first one is, what piece of advice would you give to yourself, the Ross 10 years ago?
Yeah, well, I have thought about this a lot, because there's probably lots of things I'd like to say myself 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But I came back with the just kind of strap in. It's going to be a bit of a wild ride. Yeah, there's going to be ups and downs, but be sort of true to yourself, really, and keep that focus, and everything will be all right in the end. And if it's not all right, it's not the end.
Brilliant. I love that. It's very deep.
Well, you know me, Tom, I'm a very deep guy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Question number 2 then. What valuable resource, for example, it could be a book, a YouTube channel, a piece of equipment, blog, podcast, app, or other, can you recommend to help others who are considering following a similar path to you?
Yes. Well, I am very much, I don't have a one go-to thing. I won't be honest. I don't have a single go-to thing. I will hunt about and use a couple of things that I think are going to fit me. So what I have found though, I'm learning more, finding more and more podcasts now as more and more podcasts are appearing. But prior to that, there's quite a lot of really valuable online resource through Welsh government or UK government for businesses, setting up businesses, and more importantly, that you've got access to little pots of funding that might not be direct money in your pocket, but they'll give you opportunities to do courses to learn about something a little bit more, so you're not going in something completely blind. Those opportunities seem to be more and more available now. But I suppose my one takeaway was using the resources from local or nearby university. It's been really helpful. So a lot of them run business courses, have business specialists like on the faculty, and speaking with them has created a number of opportunities and opened up doors. So I would say try and hook into a local resource, and then you kind of, it feels a little bit more comforting as opposed to it being so remote as well. So that was my side of it. It's like hunt about, but if you can use the local resource, that's got to be a lot bit better in the long run. Brilliant.
Yeah, I signed up to the local business, the Gwynedd Council business newsletter. It's been absolutely invaluable, particularly in the last couple of years. But
yes,
it's been so good.
There's often stuff that you just kind of cast aside, isn't there? But you'll catch something and go, oh yeah, that's interesting, or oh, I'm going to look into that a bit more, or contact that person, and if it's on the doorstep, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And the final question: what would you like to see, if anything, change about the outdoors and adventure industry that we work in?
Well, we've already touched on it a bit, and that is about its value and self-worth. I think we undervalue ourselves as a sector anyway, and therefore people don't know the value of what we can deliver for them. And that's not about being necessarily greedy or whatever, but if someone comes to your house as a tradesman to do some work for the day, and they've learned and they've gone through their apprenticeship and they've gained their qualifications, whether it's to be an electrician or a plumber or a builder, there's kind of an expectation that you go, oh yeah, okay, you'll talk to them and they'll say, well, this is my day rate, and this is what I pay extra for the materials on top. Whereas I think it's almost the reverse in the outdoors. People come to you and go, this is what I'm willing to pay you. And we as a sector can value ourselves more if we say, well, this is my day rate, and I've been working in this industry for 15 years and I've gained this number of qualifications, which has taken me this long, and I've worked with this many people, and this is the value I'm bringing to here. So this is what my day rate is. And I think we err away from that as a sector. And I can say that as an employer. So actually, we've just taken the stance. Just the other day, I was chatting to Dan, who's like our ops manager here. We went through a bit of a review for the year, and we've set out our pay rates for the year for different work, because we've got a variety of different work. And I have taken this decision along with Dan that we're just going to advertise it, and we're just going to put that out there to people. So it's like, if you work with us, these are the rates that we're paying for people, and then people can either choose to work with us because they think we're paying a fair day rate, or they could choose not to. I like to think we are paying a good rate of pay. But we think if we advertise what we're paying people, it's open, and then other people can choose to advertise it as well. And as a sector, we might be able to just pull ourselves up a little bit. And those that are underpaying might go, oh, blimey, maybe I need to pay a bit more. So yeah,
I couldn't agree more.
It's pay rates for people that work in the sector. Doesn't mean that if we can increase that, people that are working feel valued and they will deliver better service.
Yeah.
In my experience of it, people get paid a good rate for the day, because it's tough, isn't it? Somewhere you might have long days, you've got to think on your feet, you're working in the dynamic environment. There's lots of factors going on. It's not a sort of a sterile office type environment where it's more process driven. There are definitely processes, but it's definitely not process driven in the same way. So we do bring value. We do have an impact on people's lives, like you said earlier on. That's why people enjoy taking on challenge events or taking part in DFE, or want to develop their own sort of leadership or skills base so they can go off and do things for themselves. So we're constantly trying to bring other people's kind of self-confidence and abilities up, but at the same time, not really shouting loudly enough about it and saying, it's worthwhile, people. So invest. If you're investing in me, you're investing in yourself. So what value do you put on your own sort of well-being and personal growth? So if that's only £80 for a day, maybe you're not going to have a great day out. But if you're going to pay some more, then people can expect to get that maybe better level of service. So it's a little bit of people can value our sector more, we get paid more, and then people get a better experience.
Absolutely. I think it's a race to the top instead of to the bottom.
Absolutely. That's what we need to avoid.
Fabulous. Right. So, well, I can't thank you enough for coming and starring on the podcast.
Well, thanks for the invite.
Yeah, no worries at all. If people want to find out a little bit more about you and what you do, where's the best place to get in touch?
Well, I'm always happy for people to email me. I'll try to get back to you as quick as I can. If people have got questions about stuff, I've got a list of folk now as things quiet down that had sent emails. I said, look, I'll come back to you when it's a bit quieter, so I'm going to send responses back to people. So you can email me at ross@raw-adventures.co.uk, or check out our website for Raw Adventures, and you'll see kind of what we do. And if people wanted to join the team as trainees or as leaders, then there's a link on our About Us page. It talks some, marketing patter on there about what we do and who we are and what we get up to. So check us out. And I'd always be willing to listen to people and hear what they've got to say. I'm not too much of a shrinking violet, as they say. I'll quite happily speak out about stuff if I've got an opinion about it. Well, I try to anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Well, thanks again, Ross, and you're a superstar. I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, cheers, buddy. Thanks.
Cheers, mate.
See you, Tom. Bye.